Collecting pavement friction data historically has been site-specific and performed with a lock wheel device to either certify paving materials or to test a location with a high number of crashes. Pavement friction data has played an important role in ensuring aggregates used in pavement resurfacing projects perform as expected. Previous methods of collection were limited to short pavement sections and couldn't easily test through curves or intersections. KYTC now has the ability to collect network-level friction data using a SCRIM vehicle that continuously measures pavement friction. The SCRIM tester measures friction data across longer stretches of roadways and can test pavements through curves and intersections.
Coworker of mine, they went to the annual meeting in the summer of 2018, and one of the presentations at that pooled fund meeting was about continuous pavement friction measurement devices. And the SCRIM vehicle is one such device. And so my coworker, he's learning about this, sees that, oh, that's interesting, gets a copy of the presentation when he gets back from the trip. We huddle up, talk about it, start investigating it on our own. We set up the contract to collect the data in early 2020 and started collecting data in kind of the second half of 2020. We had an inkling that this data would be extremely helpful before we even set up the contract. But once we got that first batch of data, we collected about 10,000 miles in the second half of 2020. And so kind of through that winter into 2021, analyzing that data and looking at some of the insights that we were getting from the data, it quickly became apparent that we were going to be able to get a lot of insights, make a lot of different decisions potentially about how we manage pavements.
Taking a more proactive approach to measuring friction data has allowed KYTC to analyze the relationships among friction and other data sources, such as crash data, traffic volumes, and roadway geometry. Equipped with more comprehensive sources of data, researchers at the Kentucky Transportation Center are helping KYTC pavement management staff develop a process for prioritizing pavement projects.
From the beginning, we always wanted more of the friction side of things in order to make decisions on our pavement. We would try to, if we had friction numbers, which like I said, that was few and far between. We just had some of the lock wheel numbers. We would try to use those as tiebreakers or whatever when it came to priority list.
Really, yeah, we just saw friction as playing an important role in improving the safety of Kentucky roadways. And we wanted to make sure that that's included in how we rank our resurfacing projects.
Kentucky is one state leading the way in taking this data-driven approach, with the potential result of improved safety in more locations. Researchers are performing a gap analysis of KYTC data systems in order to fully implement friction data into pavement resurfacing prioritization. Using GIS, they are pinpointing locations that would benefit the most from improvements in pavement friction. They are identifying techniques to correlate friction properties with chosen locations and other available data.
The way that we prioritize our pavement resurfacing is all based on the condition of the road.
The friction data is allowing us to fill the gap between what used to be our friction enhancing treatment, high friction surface treatment, and then resurfacing. Now we see that preventative maintenance is somewhere in the middle, and and we are able to calculate ROIs and use a data-driven process to make sure that we are selecting the correct friction enhancing project for the context that we have.
If we change that friction number, meaning if we go in with a high friction surface, or we retexture the road, or we just resurface it, or use a microsurface, and it changes that MSC number, does that reduce the crashes, right? And so we look at that, I guess, that whole priority list, and which treatments do the most good for the least amount of money.
Having a more robust pavement prioritization process will allow for better decision making when choosing preventative maintenance, resurfacing, or high friction surface treatments.
Friction ultimately will play a big role in safety, and where we have our safety projects and friction enhancing projects, maintenance plays a role in that, right? They're a resurfacing department. They handle majority of the resurfacing across the state. And that's part of what this SPR project is. It's looking to incorporate friction into the maintenance procedures. And that will have a big impact on safety across the state.